that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Actually, the first thing I have on my list is the shotgun/sentry issue that has been probably the biggest cause of frustration for people in the Dark Zone.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, I'm not guilty of it yet, but I have been collecting up a set of sentry to do a very similar thing because, I mean, I get it. Like, that's where the meta's shifting at the moment.
Yeah, you're in a situation where this is just a meta, so that's like you either are tempted to do it, but you know that this is not entirely fair with the other players, or you're trying to do something else, but you put yourself in a situation where you're just not as powerful as the other ones. So that's not a nice situation to be in.
But here's the thing. We're aware that the meta is always going to shift. That's what happens in every game that has an online component, has an element of humans, and has RPG mechanics and gear and these sorts of things. I mean, you know, I'm a big Dota fan. That game is amazingly complex, but it still requires balance changes 15 years. It's always going to shift, right? Similarly with us and every game. And that's not a problem. That's fine. But right now, the meta isn't fun, which is the problem.
And I see in the chat already some people saying balance the PvP and everything. And yeah, exactly. That's one of the aspects that makes PvP really unbalanced and not fun right now because of this kind of meta that is like, it's not as if you have one meta, but you actually have alternatives. Right now, you just don't. So
no, exactly. And I think
you do, but
no, I mean, and that's kind of the next thing on my list is the Deadeye hipfire thing, which would probably be the other. Well, I mean, there's kind of three things. You've got your sentry shotgun, you've got your Deadeye hipfire, and you also have reclaimer.
Yeah.
Right, and all of these things lead to a not fun experience because either you're getting like locked by consumables and fire and explosions and these sorts of things, or you're being one shot, or you're just being hip-fired at by someone running Deadeye, which would be okay if you weren't being one shot. Like our game isn't, and our game is and shouldn't be that game.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we have to work on. Again, that isn't something that can be done like in a weekly maintenance. We have to have a big look at exactly how those things will work. The other things I have on this list, which kind of fits in both into PvE and PvP, is the NPC scaling at end game. And I've talked about this on the stream a lot. The 1 to 30 experience, scaling in there works great.
Yeah.
And I think
you reach end game
agree.
and you go to 30 plus, then that's where it begins. And the scaling is that like the higher level the NPC and the worse it actually gets. It's like the higher level and the less powerful you feel as a player because it takes more and more bullets and more ammos and like all these clips to actually kill one NPC, which is also not fun.
So I mean, I think that's I could go back to this later on. I think that's one of our two biggest issues is the scaling in the end game, because it's also a lot of people die to NPCs in the Dark Zone in a really bad way, not because they were engaging them, but because they were not in that. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So I mean, it's a tricky one because you want to add difficulty, but it shouldn't be sponginess and being one.
But not bad.
The thing that I think people find frustrating, and I find frustrating as well, is like you'll be running like a heroic incursion, like a heroic underground or incursion, or the DZ5 and 6.
Yep.
And regardless of how gear capped you are, you're getting one shot a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that's not cool.
Yeah.
That's so you're not rewarded for the investment you put into your gear. Someone was saying that they feel like the loot is off, and I kind of agree. And it's something that I knew, but I've noticed even more playing from 0 to 30, or 1 to 30. But you recognize that you have a situation where, like, I'm level 24, but I'm using level 20 guns, and then I get a level 24 gun, and I feel so much more powerful.
Yep.
That's something that we don't have in the end game right now. It's like, and I did mention this at the time when the G36 came out, that the issue wasn't necessarily that the G36 was overpowered. It was that our scaling was off.
Yep.
Right? Aimed weapons.
Oh, yeah.
Like what? Like, there's a reason we don't use them.
Yeah.
They're not very good.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be the case. So when people feel like there's a lack of a dedicated PvP space, right? And that's not what the Dark Zone is. I think we all agree that that's not it. But for people who are craving that type of gameplay, they're trying to, and I speculate, they're trying to recreate that dedicated PvP type of gameplay in a space that really doesn't support it.
Yeah.
which is problematic, to say the least. So
yeah,
we hear you on that for sure.
In the dark zone, you're in a situation where PvP players are looking for PvP, and you have PvE players that are looking for PvE. And no matter what you're looking for, you're going to be encountering the players that are looking for the other thing.
Yeah, there you go. Arena would fix the DZ. I mean, I don't disagree.
About the enemy difficulty and the scaling, starting by like lowering their health by 20% or whatever. I think it's more complicated than that, because what we need is we actually need a proper scaling system. That means that eventually you could even also add more difficulty, like higher levels, whatever. It's not just a matter of changing their health. It's more a matter of finding a new approach to difficulty, which is not necessarily more.
I saw this morning on Reddit as well that to do challenge mode, you need the gear from challenge mode.
Yeah.
And to do heroic, you need gear from heroic
mode.
Again,
that's the issue when we are talking about like the scaling between hard and challenge and all these kind of things. For example, when you're stuck in hard mode and you're just getting rewards for hard mode, you actually don't necessarily gear up to be able to do challenge mode. And then you're stuck in this situation where the only activities you can do are activities that will not provide you with any upgrades. So all you have to do is actually try to find a carry that's actually going to get you through higher difficulties, and that's not how it should be. So this is a situation.
When you say buyback, you're talking about if you accidentally sell something to a vendor.
Oh yeah,
right.
I did that recently. That's not fun.
Yeah, that's not good. I've embarrassingly done that on stream, and I didn't say anything, and I didn't tell anyone. I've done it too.
No, I did that.
I was like, I meant to do that. I totally meant to do that, but total fail.
That happens, and
so things like locking gear and being able to save loadouts and these sorts of things. We totally agree with you guys on that. We definitely hear you.
So we looked at a few stats. We used to do that during the beta. It was fun, and then we didn't do it anymore. So I wanted to do it again. Or we wanted to do it again. We looked at something like underground ranks, for example. And I'm going to ask you questions, and you guys have to tell me what do you think.
These ones are kind of serious, like because I think they kind of actually give a bit of insight into where we're at in terms of our player base. It's not like, hey, fun stats, how many cleaners we killed. This is cool. Anyway, you go.
WTF so awkward. Yeah, that kind of was awkward.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I make it awkward again. Okay, all right. I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think is the percentage of players that actually have access to Underground that reach rank 40?
Rank 40. We'll give you like 30 seconds.
1% of players who actually have access to Underground and have played Underground have reached level 40 or rank 40, which is not much. And as many people, I would have guessed more, but no, just 1%. We have 50% of players that are below rank 13. So you do the math, and there is 49% between 13 and 40. And we have 25% of players that are actually below rank 7. So it's people who played the Underground, but I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just
no, we're just saying what the truth is.
It's numbers we're looking at, and obviously, if only 1% reach rank 40, maybe we can help with that.
I haven't reached rank 40. I'm like 20. I think I'm like 26, 27.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, I'm 20 something, and there is this part where you start like it starts, feeling
dark zone. About 20%. Wait.
No,
I'm just going to go through this one. I'm just going to tell you it. About 28% of average player playtime spent in the dark zone. Now, actually, there is a question about that because that's recently, right?
That's active players in the last 7 days.
Based on what do you think that number would have been 4 weeks ago? Do you think it's gone up or down? Do you think this number is higher or lower than what it was 4 weeks ago? That's actually, and I was surprised because I thought the same thing. It's basically the same. There's been a 1% shift in the amount of time players are spending in the dark zone.
Yeah.
Really surprising because I thought that given the experience right now, which I don't love either, that it would have gone significantly down.
Yeah.
But this doesn't obviously show players' sentiment. So people are spending the same amount of time in there, but I don't think they're having as good of a time.
It doesn't mean they're enjoying. Let's talk about gear score and the player gear score. So the question I'm going to ask is, what do you think is the percentage of players, of active players? So, and by active, I mean players that logged in the last 7 days. That's what I will call active players. What's the percentage of active players that actually reached gear score 230 plus? 47%. So 47% of active players that played in the last 7 days are actually gear score 230 plus. which is interesting. What's also interesting is that we have 23% that are between 200 and 230, and we have 30% that are actually below 200. And we're talking active players here. We're not talking people who stop playing. We're talking active players. So that's interesting.
That is interesting. Obviously, that could be players who have been newly acquired. Like if you've just bought the game in the last 7 days, you're going to be below gear score 200. But still, that was surprising to me. Okay, incursions percentage. This is interesting. Let me phrase the question so I don't mess it up this time. We have 3 different ones. Obviously, we have Clear Sky, Falcon's Lost, and Dragon's Nest. Of those active players, how many of our weekly active players would you say are playing Dragon's Nest? So every week, if you're an active player, how many of those active players are playing Dragon's Nest? Actually, only 14% of players. Active players play Dragon's Nest.
And that's participated in Dragon's Nest. Doesn't mean they actually succeeded. Doesn't mean they went to the end. So it could be people that are also doing the 4 horsemen farming, definitely.
Exactly, 14%. And so for Falcon's Lost, it's 8%.
100 minus Yannick,
8% of active players doing Falcon's Lost. I think those are the people looking for Century, obviously. 4% of players looking at Clear Sky. We did know that Clear Sky would be the least when you said this to me. I had the order correct when we talked about this earlier, but I didn't get the numbers right.
I personally, at first I would have thought that Falcon's Lost was the one that people were playing the least, just because
it's oldest,
it's older and it's annoying. At least I find it annoying. But on the other hand, you get Sentry out of it, so I guess
that's true. And I mean, if anyone's running a Deadeye build, they may be in Clear Sky trying to get Hunter's Faith 2-piece, maybe. We want to make sure that we keep having these conversations because it really helps us, and then in turn it'll help you guys because it will make our game better, especially the next few weeks. I think it's going to be very, very important.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. What's the best way for people to have those interactions with us, Yannick? I know a lot of people have been like, how do I email a dev directly? You can't. You kind of have to go through us.
Yeah.
But what are the best places?
Well, I mean, you can contact us obviously on Twitter at YannickBCH and at HamishBode, all together, right?
Yeah.
You can also reach out to us on the forums. We're also reading Reddit, on Twitch, obviously, when we're available.
Yep.
We're also here.
Yep.
Am I forgetting something?
Forums? Do you say forums?
Yeah, I said forums.
Okay. I just feel like we should say that a lot.
But yeah, just put it out there, and odds are that we're going to see it. I'd say best way is probably to tweet it at us, though.
Yes, I would say that too. And again, a lot of people have put big decks together of huge posts that go really in depth. Those are fantastic. Twitch chat's great for us to get an idea of the direction of the conversation, even if it's not specific. So basically,
expect more information next week.
Yes, next week's gonna be fun.
That's all I will say about it.
It's gonna be good. All right, I'm gonna do this until we.
No, you're making it awkward now.
No, it's already way awkward.
Okay.
All right,
cool.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. See you soon.